Hello.
Jared, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
Good, good, good. You doing all right?
Yeah, everything feels
Cool.
good.
All right, good, good. We're on audio right now, but I'm gonna start the video in a second, and then we're gonna get rolling.
All right, sounds good to me.
All right, stand by.
Hmm.
All right, my video's up. I'm going to invite you to turn on your video, and then we're going to get going. Hey, everybody, Jeff Vita here with the Kung Fu Driving Podcast. I have a special guest today, MMA fighter, instructor, proprietor of the free MMA gyms. Amazing initiative. We're going to get into it. Jared Bear FIORDA. Jared, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you having me on the show.
It's great to have you. So much of that I want to talk with you about. You're a fan of martial arts. You're a fan of MMA, and as I said at the top of the show, free MMA gyms, an amazing initiative. But let's get to the important questions. Where did the nickname Bear come from?
So my mother's actually been calling me Bear since before I even had a memory, and I know that a lot of guys. It's a funny thing about fighting when you first show up to your event and you don't have like a name for yourself. A lot of times the entry level events would be like, "What do you want the announcer to call you?" And you'll just decide right then and there. Bone Crusher, and you'll just that's your name now for the rest of your life. But my mother's been calling me Bear forever, so it was very easy just to kind of roll with it for the name. And it sounds kind of tough. People second guess why I might have it, then I tell them why.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, talk to me then about the martial arts. How did you get started in all of that?
So I actually got started in martial arts when I was 5 years old, and the way I did it was because my dad had passed away, and I started to act out in school and attack other students. I can remember one incident. I was actually pretending airplane, which is where I just rode around the school with my wings out, and anyone who got too close just got like dropped. Um, the principal did not like that at all, and so I was getting in-school suspensions, out-of-school suspensions. It was getting pretty bad, and so she decided to kind of put me in this place where I can channel this negative aggressive energy into something productive. And so I got my first martial arts class. I started with Taekwondo. I loved it. I trained it now for 20 years. I competed in it, got my first black belt. And as I progressed into MMA, I had met a gentleman who's now one of my better friends. He's an ex-Muay Thai kickboxing champ. And I thought, you know what? When we met, let's have a sparring match. And I'll teach this guy a couple things. He's 10 years older than me, 10 years more experience than me in a ring, super aggressive sport. But I'll show him a thing or two, my 18-year-old black belt self, and he kicked the shit out of me. It was so bad. At one point, I spun around. He's like, "Why are you spinning around?" I said, "I don't know." And he punched me in the face again. So it encouraged me to learn more martial arts and take on more skills and styles that I thought were out there. And that kind of progressively pushed me to get into an MMA gym and start competing.
Now that's interesting because I mean you took a beating and it encouraged you to get into a ring and take more beatings. Why is that? Why? Because it takes a unique mental fortitude, a unique personality to decide that you want to get into a ring and test your mettle, knowing full well that you're not only going to potentially take a beating, but you have to dish a beating out as well. So, what was it about MMA that drew you in?
I love that you mentioned that before I answer, just because a lot of people think it's really easy to hit somebody. It is hard mentally and physically to
Yeah.
put a beating on another guy. So I'm really happy you brought that up. The reason why I did it in the first place was because everyone's got a reason why they fight. You know, the reason why you fight motivates you to do well in the cage and stops you from either quitting or giving up on yourself or freezing up. when the time comes. And so some people do it because they live in poverty and they want to get out of poverty. Some people do it because they have a unique desire to want to fight. They just have that kind of like warrior instinct that people refer to as the warrior gene. They really just they want to get physical. For me, I have kind of a chip on my shoulder where it's like, I don't ever want to be put in a position where another person can hurt me or attack me and I can't do anything about it.
Sure.
And so I did it as a way to feel safe. And I think it came from that first experience of like really sparring my now good friend who was the champ, because when I was in Taekwondo, I was always like the big dude. I always had a lot of power. So for me, I was the best of my bunch and I thought I was untouchable. And then this dude who just showed me I'm not. Like I can very easily get my butt kicked by the wrong person. And so I needed to feel secure again. And so that's what pushed me to now train and fight, so that when I step into the octagon and I beat this other guy who put in just as much time as I did, or maybe I had just that extra little bit he didn't, it motivates and tells me, hey, I'm on the right path. And that's one less person who could stop me if I needed to keep myself safe.
Yeah. Yeah. So how long have you been on the MMA circuit now?
I've been doing mixed martial arts for almost 7 years now, a little over half a decade.
What is your status? What's your record? How do you feel about being an MMA fighter?
Well, the record's awful. It's 2-6. Obviously, I'm having some trouble. Mainly, my thing comes with the crowd. I have a lot of issues in front of an audience of people. Like in the gym, it doesn't matter. I'll hard spar anyone in a cage all day you want. I'll go without gloves if you want. I don't care. But putting me in front of an audience, and I got some issues. So we're working on that. We're having some good time. Other than that, I love doing it. It makes me excited. It gets me up in the morning. I can't imagine what my life would be like if I wasn't training to do something like this. So I think it makes me happy. And that's why I love continuing to do it regardless of record or status or anything like that.
It's funny because for anybody who doesn't know, Jared is a big social media content creator. So he's got audiences all over the world. But obviously they're not in front of you the whole time. So it makes it a little bit different.
Yeah, I've got it. This has helped me a lot. Either producing content and coming on the radio shows with awesome people like you, which has really actually helped me get past these kind of nerves. Cool.
Now, who is your audience on social media and things like that? Because I imagine you get a lot of MMA prospects following you, but I wonder too if you get a bunch of dentists following you, because for a guy who fights MMA, you have an amazing grill, brother.
Oh, thank you. I don't know specifically who's following. I know I cater to a lot of the younger crowd. I got early, mid, late teens, early adults, some older adults as well. I've had people who are in different industries, like doctors. Funny enough, doctors have said they follow me before. I've had people in other sports, people in motocross have hit me up and say, oh, hey, I follow you. I love your content. And I've checked them out and they're like, oh, this is big motocross dude. Okay, that's really awesome. So I think I reach across the board, but primarily I think I'm really a big interest to people who are looking to get into mixed martial arts, especially like late teenage kids who are thinking, okay, this is a way for me to better my life. This is a way for me to find this next level of excitement. I don't really know if I want to go to school yet, but I do know I want to hit people. So how do I do this safely and make a career out of it? So I think that's the kind of audience that I'm attracting.
Speaking of making a career out of it, my show focuses on fight choreographers, actors who actually practice martial arts in the entertainment field. I talk with actors from shows like Warrior, Into the Badlands, things like that. I try to talk to the guys who make it an effort to portray martial arts well on screen and make it look still dynamic and cool, but kind of keep it as real as possible. Being on the fight side of things, what is your take on how martial arts is represented on screen? Are you a fan? Do you wish it was closer to reality, or what's your take on that?
I definitely, as an artist, as a guy who always wants to see the benefit and the reality behind every punch and kick, I really wish it was more realistic. As the entertainer side, and I have been on sets, and I do understand how things have to roll sometimes, I know that you can't properly articulate every motion accurately when you're trying not to bloody up the stuntman or whoever else is on set with you. So it's a little bit of give and take. You have to sacrifice a little bit of realism to get the content out there. That said, I can remember back in like the 80s, 90s, the Kung Fu movies, those are pretty far-fetched. A lot of them even had like mystical powers involved. And we got movies like Undisputed. Like those things are they're cool right? But
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
pretty unrealistic compared to a real fight. Although in today's modern age of martial arts movies, I think they're doing fantastic. One of my favorite out there is Warrior. Love that you mentioned that. I think Tom Hardy killed it in that movie. I think a lot of the
Yeah,
martial
yeah.
arts are fairly accurate for what you see. So I think we're going in the right direction.
Is there one other than Warrior that that you like to point to for your students to be like, hey, you're going to learn this martial art, you're going to learn these mixed martial arts. Take a look at how it can be implemented in a cool and dynamic way.
There is another movie out there. I actually believe it's also called Warrior. I have it in a DVD box set. I just got to look at it real quick. It's a depiction of Muay Boran, which is the style previous to Muay Thai. And it depicts a guy who came from Okinawa, Japan, who was a samurai and karate guy, came over there, got his butt kicked, and he started learning Muay Boran to be a part of their militaristic group and start fighting on their side. And it has a lot of here and there some goofy stuff, but it's for the most part very realistic to what you expect to see in Muay Thai and Muay Boran. So I think that's another really good movie. And for God's sakes, if I wasn't blanking on the title, I'd give it to you right now.
No worries, no worries. Now you talked about Taekwondo. You've taken it for what, 20 plus years now. Are there
Yeah.
other styles that you've mixed into your repertoire?
Yeah, so over the course of my entire martial arts career, all 20 years worth, I started with Taekwondo and I haven't stopped. I did Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, kickboxing, boxing, wrestling is the latest thing I'm really trying to push because I need a lot better ground game. I did a little bit of Hapkido, not Aikido, and there's it's a smidgen. It's the tiniest amount of karate possible.
For people who follow you, I know you're a huge fan of Aikido and Sistema, right?
Oh, that would hit me for a second. I had to think about that.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Because I know you get a lot of questions about what's the best martial art, and you have you talk about the different styles, but when you get that question, what's the thought process for you to kind of break it down for someone, because they're coming from a whole different set of backgrounds, different skill levels, and things like that. So how do you break it down for them?
The first thing I have to find out, especially if they message me personally, like on my Instagram, is what do you want to do? If you had to sit there and think about, okay, do I really want to hit this dude in the face or would I rather choke him out? What is more appealing to you? And if the more appealing side is to punch him in the face, okay, now we have a list of martial arts and styles we could potentially go with. Like, do you want to only punch people? Do you want to knee them in the head? Do you want to kick them in the legs? Do you want to, what other opportunities are you looking for here? Like, oh, I also want to kick them. Okay, now we're looking at a little bit finer group of martial arts. I'll go through this whole list with people. I do want them to find one that makes them happy. And at the bottom, at the end of the day, we'll find a martial art that makes them excited to go and do it. Because if you're not excited to go do a martial art, even if it's the best ever, like MMA, in my opinion, is the best thing you can do as martial arts at the end of the day. That's just my opinion, because you get to put everything together and you see how it works on a regular basis by watching UFC or PFL or anything like that. So if that doesn't interest you, being the best that it is, then you're never going to go do it. Doesn't matter how awesome it is. You can actually get good at it and still hate what you're doing. So the reality is, if you want to continue for forever and keep getting the benefits, I have to help you, or not have to, but I would love to help you find one that excites you so you keep doing it. That's going to be the best martial art. People say, hey, what's the number one martial art out there? There's my opinion, and then there's the reality of what you'll probably end up doing. And let's pick the one you're going to end up doing, because that's the one that's going to give you the most benefit at the end of the day.
You're such an advocate for martial arts in general. Why? What is it about the martial arts in general that keeps you so involved in it, to the point where you've got this school? And we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Wait, I'm going to mention this when I get to the school as well, but I want to touch on it for a second. When I was growing up, starting in Taekwondo, I grew up in a rougher area, and it's my friends who would join and could no longer afford it because the parents have to pick between electricity or rent. They're
Sure.
going to go
Yeah.
with rent.
Yeah.
I watched some of them pass away. I watched some of them get on drugs. Some of them join gangs. And to me, if they had stayed in martial arts, that never would have happened. So a big motivator for me to keep pushing martial arts to everybody, youth, adult, senior, is these experiences in my life that have showed me, hey, these people had every opportunity that I did, but because they couldn't continue martial arts, they lost out immensely. So I don't want anyone else to suffer that way. I want everyone to be able to get on this boat, this punchy kicky boat where you get to hurt people and laugh with them just after. So that's why I keep pushing martial arts, 'cause I think it's awesome for everybody, regardless what stage of life you're in.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, your socials do a great job of distributing, information about fighting. It also does a lot to combat disinformation. That's why I poked a little fun about your system and Aikido to you. But why is there so much bad instruction out there? We've seen, I've seen a bunch of socials that highlight some ridiculous concepts of martial arts that just don't make sense in the real world, and display, frankly, a lot of magic sometimes. So, why is that? Why is that still out there?
So I think a big proponent as to why we still have what a lot of people refer to as bullshido fake martial arts
Yeah.
is the old 80s, 90s movies that came out and they depicted martial arts in a certain way. And so everyone thought that there's this magic answer for self-defense and protection. You can stop bullets, you can touch people and they'll die immediately. How do I learn this awesome power? How do I learn to chi bend someone's blood out of their mouth? How do I do this? And so they watch these movies and think, oh, this is legit, or at least mostly legit, so let me go check it out. And they find these charlatans, these dudes who are willing to teach them this bull crap. And then they get all invested, they become super culty, they get more people involved. And it transpires even till now where you got people up in the mountains teaching others how to meditate to make sure that they can pull trees out of the ground and make people's eyes pop out of their head. That's what they're teaching. That's what they're claiming to teach them, right? And so I think part of the reason why we still exist is because it started and never quite stopped. And this industry, I'm gonna shout out real quick Mick Dojo Live on Instagram because he's the one who taught me this concept. There is no regulation in the martial arts industry. If you want to become an instructor today, like anyone listening to you, you want to be a martial arts instructor today with no experience, here's how you do it. Get a business license, create a name.
That's it.
That's it. That's all
That's
you
crazy.
need. That's all you need to be a martial arts instructor. And you can start wearing whatever belts you want, whatever gis you want. You can tell people to do whatever you want. You can make people just spin around on the floor for 30 minutes if it makes you happy and they buy into it. And they'll pay you. They'll pay you hundreds of dollars a month, each person, for you to make them spin on the floor for half an hour a day because they believe you. And so that's why it exists, because one, it started out where people believe the nonsense, and that's okay because there wasn't enough information at the time. And then it carried over because it was such a lucrative business opportunity, and it still is. People are making thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars by having huge schools that deliver nothing to their students, but they believe it, so they keep paying.
Yeah. Well, so how about for you then? Who were the instructors, the mentors that inspired you and continue to inspire you?
One of my very first instructors ever, his name was Stephen Woolston. He was my first Taekwondo instructor. Very nice gentleman when you spoke to him, very calm. But in the school, even when he was talking nice, it was always that. Yeah, I don't know if you watch anime at all or anything like that, but sometimes the characters in the shows, they'll depict a super big evil guy, and then you'll visually see pressure around them. Like the screen gets all staticky and the hero gets all nervous. That's the kind of energy that instructor gave out. He stepped in the room and you just felt pressure in the air, even if he was super calm. And so he was always a big motivating factor for me in the way that I teach and talk to my students, the way I carry myself in the gym. And one who motivates me now is actually Joe Daddy Stevenson from the UFC. He's my current MMA coach and my wrestling coach. And so he motivates me every single day to do better and train harder. And he's the one who keeps me going as a fighter nowadays.
All right, so segueing that into the instruction now, free MMA gyms, incredible initiative, because like you said, a lot of kids who want to join martial arts have to, they have to make that decision. Am I going to pay this money to train, or are my parents going to be able to buy groceries this week? That kind of thing. And it's a really huge factor for people to not start martial arts, frankly. So what was the driving force for you to get this school started?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, after my friends when I was younger had passed, the biggest catalyst to them dying, honestly. Like, yes, drugs, yes, gangs, horrible things, but not having them in my life anymore made the hugest difference. And so me and my mom came together back in 2018 to start free MMA. I'm one of the few people who's like, yeah, me and my mother went into business together. And it really, we love it. We love what we do. And we love teaching people martial arts. I love teaching people martial arts. She loves being able to help the continuation of that aspect. And so the biggest reason was to make sure no one had to suffer because they didn't have the opportunity to join martial arts. If they need a place to vent physically, they need a place to burn off, whatever stress they have, they're looking to make this a career. If they just want to learn to feel more confident and learn to protect themselves, and maybe they have kids who are getting bullied who just need to feel better about themselves. I had a student who she since moved away, but back before the pandemic, she joined because she was getting bullied. And I taught her everything I possibly could up until the point that she left. And in the middle of the pandemic, her mother texts me and is telling me this story about how they were just by themselves, her and her mother, in the house, and this couple had broken in. The man held them at gunpoint while a separate woman went around cleaning out their house, took everything that they had. At some point, the young girl, had noticed that he wasn't paying attention and just loaded up and hit him with the biggest punch she could, broke her pinky, gave herself a boxer's fracture, dropped him, got the gun away, and called the cops and got them arrested. Kept all their stuff. And she's telling me how she only had the confidence that because of what you've been teaching her and helping her do it in the gym, because when she was getting bullied, she wouldn't even really talk, let alone physically react in a situation that would require, actually would probably freeze most adult men nowadays.
That's cool.
And so, yeah, and it excited me. Like, in one way, I was super proud. The other way, I'm like, you probably shouldn't attack people with guns. Just saying. Let's keep that in mind moving forward. Anyone listening to the story, don't try. Your punch may not do the trick. That guy either she's super strong, and he just may not have been paying attention. It's not going to happen every time. Don't just punch people holding guns at your face. But that's another big motivating factor to why we have this gym, why we opened it up, because we're looking just to help people benefit in whatever way we can. And martial arts does so much more than just physically build you up. It's mainly mentally what you get from it. And I think it's vastly more important than a lot of other extracurricular activities you can do. I think sports in general are what's really going to take the cake when it comes to building people up mentally.
Yeah. You've got a slogan on your sign outside your school. Seriously, it's free. Now, as a business model, Jared, as a business model, a free school, doesn't sound all that great on paper. But how does the school survive?
So the school survives through individual donation, government grants, and corporate sponsorship. We have numerous businesses that actually sponsor my fights. And when they sponsor my fight and they get their name on my shorts or they get a shout out from me on the social media, they actually are supporting. They send the money that goes to the gym, the nonprofit, and that keeps that afloat. The money I make from social media is sent to the gym to keep that afloat. Cool. I always tell people I take literally the bare minimum to survive, everything else to the gym. And I keep that going because it technically isn't making money. It's meant to help people to better themselves. And this is a passion project I really wanted to do and get it out there so everyone had the opportunity to do martial arts. And so all the money I make elsewhere goes to pay for things like rent, electricity, uniforms, stuff of that nature, repairs if needed, because I've accidentally put a hole in the wall before. But that is beside the point. And so, is it a super great business model? No, but it was never meant to make millions upon millions of dollars. It was meant to support the people. And my goal with that is I can put another free MMA in another state, and then one in a separate state, and one in every single state in the country, and then hopefully one in every country around the world. I don't know if I'll hit there in my generation, but the goal for the gym is for that to happen, where somewhere down the line, every place on the planet has a free MMA that they can go and attend.
That's hugely inspirational. I mean, that's such a great goal, and I totally support you, and I would love to support the school. Tell me your students, though. Who makes up your student body?
We primarily have kids. We are primarily the normal person you see walking in the gym to take a class is between the ages of 7 and 14 years old on any regular basis. We do have an adult base. Those are usually early to mid 20s, couple of people in their older stages, about 50, 60 who do attend periodically, but normally it is with the younger crowd. And we do actually offer a special class for youngest students, ages 4 to 6, where they come in Sunday nights and they have a separate thing for themselves altogether. And that class is where they learn how to learn martial arts, because I can't just take a 4-year-old and start teaching them how to do spin kicks. It's not gonna translate very well. So they have to learn how to take in information, how to follow the direction well before they move into learning more, I would say, useful in-fight tactics and techniques. But right now, it is mainly a younger audience coming to the gym, but we are open to everybody, ages 6 to 106 for the regular classes, and we start as young as 4 for our little biddies class.
Do you have students that have been with you from the beginning that are still training with you?
I do have a couple. I do have a couple
Cool.
students that have been here since the beginning. There's one of them that is consistent. She comes almost every single class. There is another one who is a little bit here and there. Every couple of weeks, I'll see them, and then they'll come for a few weeks, and they'll drop out for a few weeks, and so on and so forth. But no, we don't have a large number of students who stick around. One of the things I noticed with running the nonprofit is while we are here for literally anybody who wants to come and do martial arts, sometimes people don't want to continue coming in because there's a low motivating factor for them to keep showing up because it's all about self
Mm,
motivation. It's all about if you want to
mhm.
benefit yourself, we are here. But I'm, very clearly not going to show up to your house and force you to come to the gym
Sure.
because then you'll
Yeah.
probably call the police on me.
But that taps into a part of that student's character for them to want to keep coming and keep pushing themselves, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's wonderful when I get to see that because not only does it tell me as coach, oh yeah, I'm doing something, I must be doing something right to keep this person coming. Because if I was doing a bunch of nonsense and they hated it, they wouldn't show back up. So I must be doing something right for these people to keep coming. So I love that fact. But I also love seeing that, knowing that I'm doing it right, knowing that I have enough students coming in consistently that I'm like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. Knowing that and then seeing people show up over and over again, to me tells me how motivated that they are to continue to learn martial arts. And even though training can be grueling at times, they're still willing to push themselves to get better, and I love that.
Do some of these students recognize the opportunity that they have to attend a class for free? Do they get that that's a huge thing to be able to to be able to do and to be able to get after?
I love my students, and the adults really do get that. The kids, eh. The
Sure.
kids
Yeah.
don't quite understand that. But what I do see is the students who reach out to me, I consider them students, I consider them friends, the people who are on my social media, those who reach out to me who are at a distance away that cannot reach the gym, they vastly understand it because they'll see, oh, this guy's doing this for free. What's in my area? And they'll see 160, 180, 200, 250 per month for these
Yeah.
classes. And a lot of them, again, are just teenagers. Some of them don't even have, actually, most of them probably don't even have jobs yet or are even eligible to get a job. And so they see that and they're like, that sucks. But here's this guy doing it for free out there. So I now know, like, between not even remotely coming close to being able to afford it and then can just walk in the door over with this dude. So I think when you don't have it available to you, you really do understand the benefit of it. When it's available to you every single day, it can be easier to kind of take it a little bit for granted and think, oh, okay, this will just be here. It's all good. I don't have to worry about
Yeah.
this.
So, do you have something in mind to try to combat that complacency? Is there anything that you can do other than hoping that your students it clicks for them?
I do regularly go over a system of tenets in the gym. There's 8 words that I follow along that I teach students, young, old, anyone. And it's how do I motivate them to be better individuals in life and society, but also how I get them to be better students in the gym. And one of these words, actually, a couple of these words I teach are perseverance, indomitable spirit, and patience. And those are 3 things that come out the most in a gym. Perseverance, because you never want to doubt yourself. Indomitable spirit, because you never want anyone else to put doubt in you. And patience, because you want to be willing to wait to reap the benefits of what is being offered here. And I think when you fully grasp those 3 words and you take them in and you start training and living your life by that every single day, like if you go to school and you have a really hard test that you didn't study for, but you know what, you take it, you do your best, you don't give up, you persevere. If someone's bullying you and telling you you're not good enough, you have the indomitable spirit to say, you know what, screw you, I don't want to listen to what you have to say, go away. And then you have the patience to get through the lessons, the schooling, to benefit from the knowledge that it has to offer. So when you get those 3 things together, I think that's what keeps a good student base. And that's why I preach to them and teach them about every single class that I'm in, to make sure that we do not only keep them involved, but also make they want to be involved.
Yeah. Now, as an instructor yourself, you're also, I assume, a continuing student of the martial arts. How do you balance that between running the school and furthering your MMA fight career?
It's difficult. I have some very lovely, I have some very lovely, awesome instructors who are able to volunteer their time to come out and teach students on a regular basis when I can't make it. I do have days that I go in and teach when there's nothing else happening. Like if it's not fight week and I'm not dramatically ill or injured, I have my days of the week that I'll go in and teach, and that's typically on the weekends. So we have Friday through Sunday, and then our Wednesday and Thursday are covered by our awesome teachers. Or if I can't make it, another one will step in for me, which I really do appreciate. So I'm able to have a schedule where I can train in the evening, in the morning and evening time, and a schedule where I can teach, which is all in the evenings at our school. So for right now, it balances out really well. We occasionally have one where it's like, okay, I don't have a backup instructor, and my other instructors are sick, and I got to fight. So okay, I'm sorry, everyone. Here's a class send out. There's not going to be class this day or this class the next 2 days. So we do have a way of letting our students know what's going on, but I do also have a good system of people to help me run the facility.
Cool. And you mentioned that you've been on some sets. Is there any inclination towards taking your skills onto the screen at some point?
So funny enough, my sets have nothing to do with martial arts.
Okay.
My most recent one, is I was on a show. I was on a set for a show called Let's Dance, and it's basically it's a dancing show for people who are looking to get more athletic, learn dance.
Oh,
And
cool.
it was meant to gear towards kind of like the getting kids up and active for an hour a day kind of program. I don't remember what it was called. I think it was Michelle Obama's program, but it was meant to get the kids up and moving. And this is a show that would kind of entice them to follow along, learn how to dance, and be active while doing it. And I learned some things from set by doing that, including the whole, well, you can't make every single thing realistic because you'll get someone hurt or something silly will happen. Because truth be told, if the dancers were doing everything they could super realistically in the confined spaces they had, they may have hurt themselves or someone else. So they had to be a little extra careful in that regard. But I would love to. I have zero objection to being on any set that you want me on for whatever reason, dude. I'd love to be a part of it. I've had people talk to me about using my voice for stuff. I had people talk to me about using my skills for stuff. People talk about using my gym as a filming location for things. So
Cool.
I'm open to whatever. It's all good with me.
What's next for the school then? Where are you with that? And you talked about wanting to expand globally, but where is it now? Where is it about to go in the short term?
Well, in the short term, right now, we're looking at actually pushing it out to a different state. We had a couple people reach out from, awesome thing about social media. You never know who's going to come through and talk to you, especially when you have hundreds of thousands of people who want to invest in what you're doing. I had a guy reach out to me, I believe either from South Carolina or Tennessee. I have to follow up, but he has an open building. He's a martial arts instructor and he's got a lot of free time. So he wants to open up a satellite out there. We're
Cool.
also potentially in dealings with Dan Henderson from Dan Henderson's team, the famous UFC champion, who
Yeah.
wants to be involved in the nonprofit. So hopefully, very soon we'll have some expansion either into this state, just another city, or into another state altogether.
Are you going to be careful about vetting the instructors there after all the bullshit that we were talking about?
Yeah, no, it's nuts the kind of things you'll see and the kind of people you find running these martial arts school. I mean, on the light end, they're just, scamming people to taking a little bit extra money out the top. They're kind of like, oh, hey, you just got your next belt. That's awesome. But now you need these patches and that's going to run you this much money or otherwise we have to, collect a fee from you every month and you don't want us to collect that fee from you. So there's those are lighthearted ones. They're a bunch of buttholes. You shouldn't go to their school, but they're not the ones on the heavier end, which are like molesting and killing your kids. That's a real thing that occurs in the Bushido world on a regular basis, and there are plenty of people who've been arrested for it, and even some of them who've been arrested, been released, find themselves back in a gym, supported by either ex-students or friends. So it can be ridiculous out there. And in my case, we actually do a background check, a very extensive background check on anyone who comes in to teach at the gym. And I'll probably have to find one that's even more severe for someone who's going to be running a facility, be the
Yeah.
head of one of
Yeah.
the satellites.
Yeah. That's crazy. But where can the audience go to find out more information about the gym, ways to donate, ways to support the school, things like that?
So my social media everywhere is at bear like the animal, FIORDA, no spaces, no caps. You can find it literally any social media platform, even the most obscure ones. And in the bio of my Instagram and TikTok are links to donate to the nonprofit. There's also options to message me on both Instagram and TikTok. I respond every single day in the morning and I do give out information, advice, tips, whatever you guys are looking for, whether it's to join the gym or just get a little bit of help from me on the side if you're struggling with something. I'm there for you guys. And of course, like I said, the links to donate to the facility, again, all the money goes straight to it, are in the bio of both Instagram and my TikTok.
Very cool. Jarred Bear FIORDA, thank you so much for joining the show. Like I said, very inspiring, the initiative with the free MMA schools. For anybody out there that's listening, if you can donate. If you're interested in running a school, maybe talk to Jarred and see if you've got what it takes to do that. But best of luck with the school, man. I hope it continues to grow, and best of luck to you. I hope your MMA career continues to skyrocket, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I look forward to if you're willing to have me back on, I look forward to telling you about any updates I have coming in the future.
Absolutely. Let's do it. Let's do it again.
Perfect. I love that. And you're locked in now because there's people here watching this.
Best of luck, Chad. Thank you so much. Have a great day, man. Thank you.
You as well. Take